us.
Why are we down here? We're down here to show solidarity to Whispers of Hope. There are a lot of detractors of Whispers of Hope, and we want to show that the promoters and the supporters are in the majority. So, in a nutshell, we're here to show solidarity.
So it's positive and not negative.
You bet it is. We are not here to be angry. We are here to show our love and concern for the folks that Whispers supports and feeds and helps.
Honestly, I think the city overstepped their bounds on this one, and I think shutting down a nonprofit agency that is attempting to help individuals in our community is completely out of line. The issue of homelessness is something that is much, much greater than this, and reducing the ability of a nonprofit agency to do the work that they need to do to help people doesn't solve the problem at all. Shutting them down and setting up a task force doesn't make any sense either. This is something that should happen in conjunction with continuing to have the ability to supply services to people in need.
Tammy and Dennis, anybody who's interested in saying any words, feel free to come and stand up here.
I know it is scary to be where it is exactly. All right.
All right.
Thank you everybody that showed up today. What we're doing here is showing solidarity for the services in our community that help to serve people in need. My name is Teresa Taylor. I'm a social worker by profession. I used to work street level outreach in Kelowna. I did a needle exchange program. I have a lot of experience working on the ground with people who are experiencing difficulty in their lives for a variety of reasons. I was over in Nelson a couple days ago down at Cottonwood Falls. I spent about an hour and a half with three gentlemen who were living on the street. One of them was living behind the soup kitchen, sleeping on pallets. He had an injury to his leg. He had short-term memory loss. It would be very difficult for him to be able to continue to work. He was very much in need of services. This is not a problem that is exclusive to our community, and the actions that were taken by City Hall were very knee-jerk and very uneducated in terms of how you deal with the social problem. And I think the people of Grand Forks are tired of seeing this kind of action coming from City Hall. And the reality is this is an issue that impacts everybody. And if we have love and compassion for our neighbors, we stand up and we help them. And I think that's why we're all here today, is because we're embarrassed. We're embarrassed by the leadership that has failed us here at City Hall in terms of dealing with some of our most vulnerable community members. And that's why I'm here as an individual, and I'd like to invite anybody who has any additional words to stand up here and speak. And I think it's really important that Whispers takes a very strong stand and says, you know what, we're not going anywhere. As an agency, they are doing all they possibly can. And we need the help of the federal government, and we need the help of the provincial government, and we need to take a look at the services that are failing and people that are falling through the cracks. And we need that level of support to come from here. And that's important for us. We want these people to stand up and say, these are community members too. They're not those people. They're our friends and they're our neighbors.
And love is unconditional.
Yes.
You can't put conditions on those people and say, no, not in my backyard.
Yay.
You have to help them.
Okay, I'm Louise Heck, and I'm the chair for Whispers of Hope. And to say that we were shocked and devastated momentarily by this order to vacate, we are also strong. This is my response. This is not my response. This is the response of the board. We met last night to determine what direction to go from here. And it was a unanimous decision of the board that we will remain open.
Yeah,
Dear Mayor Conrad and Council, the Board of Directors of Whispers of Hope have met to review our lease and the city's directive to cease operations. Given that Whispers has not broken the terms of our lease, and given that the city has not given legal notice according to the terms of our lease, Whispers of Hope intends to continue providing services to our community until such time as we receive a court injunction directing otherwise. We invite the city to work together with Whispers of Hope and other community agencies in addressing the issues of poverty in its many forms here in Grand Forks. In the meantime, Whispers of Hope expects the city to honor the terms of our lease.
Yes.
Short and simple, factual, and we intend to stand strong.
And we stand behind you.
Thank you.
In solidarity. Are there anyone else like to express any of your thoughts? Dennis? Tammy?
If it pleases the chair, I would.
Please do.
Thank you. We work as a team at Whispers of Hope, so we don't work unilaterally. I just wanted to share a statement I made as a personal citizen and as a community care coordinator. I am the vice chair at Whispers, so I suppose it's attached to that as well. But if closing support services solves homelessness, then does closing the food bank solve hunger? Does closing the fire department stop fires from starting? Does removing the ambulance service prevent an emergency? This is the broken logic the nonprofits are facing in our local government. Our local government has an opportunity to turn this around. Keep the support services in place that assist so many more than the 10% of the guests who are experiencing homelessness. Working alongside the many existing services to find solutions for those homeowners near the camps. The camps are located on the riverbank, floodplain near City Park. These nonprofits can only monitor what is within the area they have leased. Anything outside of that is a community issue and is the personal responsibility of the individuals who are living in the camps. Thank you.
I'm Dennis Turnamill, and I have been on the board of Whispers and kind of active in a very happy way with what we call marginalized people in our community. And I look at myself, and if I thought, you took away my pension check, you took away my ability to pay my mortgage, a couple months and I might need the services that Whispers of Hope provides. Does that mean then that I am a marginalized citizen? Well, maybe so. And I'm going to share something else pretty gutsy. I have a mental illness. It's called clinical depression. The thing that allows me to have quality of life every day is my medication. Without it, well, there is no quality of life. And I guess I should be down there at the riverbank sitting with all those people who have given up on life. This morning on the radio, Louise Heck, board chair, said there are three basic elements that every single one of us needs: food, shelter, and dignity. A sense of belonging and worth. And every one of you, when you go home today, you experience that. You have some belonging, shelter, food, and worth. So no matter what crisis hits you, you got something to move on with tomorrow. But what if you woke up and there was no place to sleep? There was no place to get a coffee and toast and to have some fellowship with somebody else, what sort of quality of life are you enjoying? I spent 50 years as a teacher in this town. Loved it. It's cool. Great. But I have to be honest with you, the best years of my life in this town have been those 4 years where I've worked at Whispers of Hope, and I've had my little biased eyes opened to see that there are needs that I didn't know existed. There are needs that I can, with my little brain, help to meet. It may mean just sitting down having a coffee with one of those dudes, losing a game of crib. It doesn't matter. The fact is, the only thing I got left in my life is me. And the more I give of me, the more I'm getting back. So Whispers of Hope has 2 key words. Whispers. It's not threatening, it's gentle, it's encouraging. And then there's that last word, hope. You don't have to feel that you've fallen through the cracks. You aren't worth nothing because you took a shot of something this morning, or crystal meth, or whatever you're using to deal with your pain issue. That does not diminish who you are. As a Christian, I know that God loves me, and I don't have a right to hold that love private, but to share it. Somebody else may say, well, that's your view, too bad, we'll move on. If I'm going to be criticized, let it be criticized for doing something that built somebody up.
Yes.
Now, Whispers has a business license. We are members of the Downtown Business Association. We're getting tarred because some of the people that use our facilities, they cause a little friction, a little bit of disturbance. Just ask the RCMP, they know that. But are we going to close down the Gem Theatre in Overwaiting because these same people also go there? And they must be then enabling these people to keep on going? That's not reasonable. At the meeting last night, we looked at economic impact of Whispers. By opening the thrift store, we enable people of all economic base to buy clothing at a reasonable price, household goods to put in their home. We are creating a market and an availability of needs met. Secondly, we hire staff, and they're all paid for not by government money, but by monies raised in the thrift store. So we have 2 full-time staff, we have 2 part-time staff, and these are all people who, taking their salaries, put it back into our town and keep a little bit more of the economy and goodwill going. You shut us down, you shut down the ability of people to purchase at a reasonable price, to get a lunch when it's a crappy day and the only good thing you got to look forward to is a meal, and to stop some of the economic growth in our town. We are small business oriented. That's what keeps 90% of our people afloat. You can't close Whispers because there's a few people shooting up, or in their somewhat less able brain power because of drugs, are causing a lot of friction. In other words, close everything else in town at the same time. If you believe in the value of meeting somebody's needs when they're down, you won't allow our mayor and our council to close Whispers of Hope.
No, we won't.
I'm taking too much time, but I just want to say one more thing. The Phoenix Foundation published Visions 2014, where they took a snapshot of the economic, housing, and other factors of our town. On one of the pages is a picture of Whispers of Hope, and the caption underneath says, "Meeting our community needs." On the next page is an article about Beth's, providing a warm, safe shelter in extreme weather. City Council in their eviction notice says we got to close down Beth's. Well, I'm sorry, but they don't open till November. How can you close something that isn't open right now? And why would you want to close it? It doesn't resonate with me. Anyway, the signature on this document is from the president of the Phoenix Foundation for the year 2014. And I may get into a heap a lot of trouble right now by saying it, but that was Christine Thompson, who is City Council member and who voted to close Whispers of Hope and Best. Think about it. Come November 2018, please don't forget. Let your ex say, we're moving forward with compassion. I did an interview with CBC Okanagan yesterday morning. They are watching what is happening here in Grand Forks, as is every town and city in the province. Is this how Grand Forks is going to attack the homeless situation, deal with an opioid crisis, etc.? Oh, we got to watch and see how it goes. I don't think you want to be watched for that sort of reasoning and outcome. You would like to be watched as taking proactive, permanent, slowly reasoned out action that helps the people and doesn't segregate them and say, I'm better than you are, which is what we're inadvertently doing. So pressure City Council. On their media release, they said, contact us. So email them, phone them, write them, let them know you are the ones who put them into office. You are the ones that have the authority in their decision making, not them. You pressure them, they have to listen to the people who elected them. So thank you everybody for coming out. This is pretty positive stuff.
All right. Well, Lorraine is very persuasive. You might even say pushy.
Oh, I know that face.
But that's good. I don't have much to say. I think what I want to share is I've got about 25 years, a career about 25 years in working and trying to help and support and serve the people that Whispers and Beths have, who they help and support every day. The biggest thing for me that I'm concerned about, and that I believe that as a town we can shift in this moment where there's all this attention and all this conflict and all of this, just this crisis. Really, it's a human crisis, and it's a human crisis that affects the whole community. And I have a huge amount of sympathy for people who are concerned about things like needles and concerned about the mess and the waste and these sorts of things. I think these are people that a lot of them do care about their community and the people in it, but there's an element of people that just want to throw these folks away, throw them under the bus, basically. And I'm really hoping that this can be a moment where, because there's so much interest and attention, that those of us who care, whether we're, in favor of Whispers closing because we feel like that will, disperse the problem or something, or whether we know, like myself, and we know that how vital and important Whispers is and how much we need it to be a part of the solution. Wherever we fit in that spectrum, I really am hopeful that we can come together, a big group like this, keep working together, keep talking to council, coming to meetings, getting your voice in there, and being willing to go to community meetings and participate with the task force, because I think that's a great thing to have a task force here for the city on
I think
on
the
this
city
crisis.
really does need to know what is going on.
Mm-hmm.
From what I've been reading, the blame is being put on Beths and Whispers of Hope for attracting people to come for a free meal. Well, I've been around a lot, and I used to be a parole officer here in British Columbia in the Northeast BC for 3 years, and I was the employment officer up there for 3 or 4 years, and I've started a couple of societies. And the problem is not that there's a free place to stay for anybody who knows Beths. It's an emergency shelter when the weather is extreme. So The problem is in the summertime, Beth's is not open. They don't have places there. You have got Whispers of Hope offering a free meal or a couple of snacks during the day. You can go to most communities in this province that will have a soup kitchen, and the soup kitchen offers more often, offers 3 meals, recreation, big screen TV, play video games. So that's not the problem that is attracting the people who the townspeople are complaining about, outside people. What's attracting them is here in Grand Forks there's an available supply of cheap pharmaceutical drugs, cheap heroin, cheap meth, and there's a lot of people who are buying the stolen goods. And that's the real problem. That's the problem that people here in Grand Forks don't want to address, because it's the homegrown people that are attracting them. It's the homegrown people who are supplying the drugs. It's the doctor's offices who come in with a person like me who wanted to change my medication. The doctor refused and instead wanted me to take 4 times more of an addicting narcotic than I wanted. I wanted to get off of the narcotics. I have been 2 years off of pharmaceuticals. Yet I'm harassed by some people in town because I smoke a little cannabis to replace that. Even though, gee, I don't know, Grand Forks isn't known for its cannabis, I guess, eh? But the problem is not Beth's, it's not Whispers of Hope. There are some people that cause problems, yes, but the reason why they're coming here is because they're hearing about how easy it is to get stuff here in Grand Forks and how easy it is to unload stuff in Grand Forks. Some people are saying, well, they're bringing the drugs in from somewhere else. That's really funny, you know, like I used to work for Narcotics Anonymous. I don't think it's addiction behavior for the addict to leave Vancouver and say, gee, I got a pocket full of heroin and I'm going to Grand Forks because they got a free place to live. That's a real joke, and any of the people who are putting forth that rationale really will, it's amazing that they are not part of the crowd that's down there already, because they're not very rational and logical. And I'm sorry if I piss off some people, but I came here a few years ago with nothing but a disability. I pulled myself up. I'm not doing that great, but I'm a feral farmer. I've had up to 37 goats. I've produced over a couple of tons of vegetables out of a garden I dug by hand. And I would never have been able to do that if it wouldn't have been for the people that I've met through Whispers and the support that I have from people like Lorraine and Dennis and Tammy. There's not a lot of places to go for people like myself, people who, I don't have a drug problem. I don't like people that much. I like people, I don't like them as individuals. I like my goats.
Yay.
All right. I can't follow that. Yeah, no, you know, there's a whole thing about addiction, like the complexity of that issue and how people get, just the intensity of what it does to a person's life and their ability to make good choices is intense, and it's such a huge issue. It's a big part, I think, about the things that are upsetting the community at large stem from this thing, and it's infuriating. Like, it's, as a family member, if you're dealing with addiction, it's wretched and awful. As a community, it can be that way, and of course, as that individual themselves. So, anyhow, this is awesome to see this many people just being in support of the services that are provided, that are essential, that are necessary. So hopefully there'll be, and it's great to know that Whispers will be staying open. I didn't know you guys were so badass, but yeah. So anyhow, thanks everybody for coming.
It occurs to me as we speak that there may be a picture painted that those that eat at Whispers are solely people that deal with drug addictions or are homeless. And so I eat at Whispers. Anybody else here eat at Whispers that cares to join me so that we can be seen? These are the people that eat at Whispers. These are the people that are asked not.
That is really good time. And I don't do drugs. And I'm very disappointed that the food shops were shut down because they stopped people from doing hard drugs. This government, this city government is doing everything we can at Whispers. And
if you've got a meal at Whispers, come and join us.
Yes, please come up if you eat at Whispers.
I'm not.
Ever had a meal there? Sylvia's are really good.
That's a good one. Someone said if we buy clothes at the thrift store, can we stand up?
Yes.
If you buy at the thrift store, please come on.
Come on, Carol.
Donate it to
Not everybody.
Yeah, way to go. Peter Evelyn, thank you.
We love Whispers! We love Whispers!
So here's a question. Do we number as higher than the dozens and dozens who complain?
I think
Because
we do.
if we do, maybe we can help find solutions for those homeowners who are also important.
Yes, absolutely.
Who are facing difficulties on city property, not Whispers property, and who need solutions because they're valuable also.
Right on.
Just the desire to do it. Let's do it.
That's great.
You know what I find so ironic? In the same week, in the same province, they are doing a root canal on a bear, but they take the food away from the needy.
Yeah.
Don't make no sense to me.
Yeah.
People first. Understand?
Well, I guess not. It's a bear.
Yeah, that bear. He was hurt.
I just need to get up here because I'm short.
No, you're not.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I just want to. Do you need help? I just want to add that although some people in our community think that we are enabling people to run amok and disrupt our city and make it unsafe, I believe the opposite is true. When was the last time you were unable to enter a store in Grand Forks because there were panhandlers sitting out there? Do you know why we don't have panhandlers in Grand Forks, or almost never? It's because we take care of our people.
Right on.
We love them. They know that they will receive at least 5 meals a week. They will receive their coffee in the morning. They will receive that blanket that they need because it might be cold at night. We take care of them. And it's not just those on the riverbank that we're taking care of. We have a lot of seniors who come in for their morning coffee. Do you know why they do? Because after that little $1,145 or whatever it is they might get on their little pension, and they pay their rent or their mortgage if they still have one, or their car that's broken down, they don't have the money to go and have a cup of coffee, even at A&W where it's fairly reasonable. And that is where they gather. That's where they sit with other people. It's not just those that are on the riverbank, and we care very much for those on the riverbank, but we care for everybody. We care for all of our citizens. And you know what? We even care a little bit for our council who doesn't have this same information to work on. And we're going to work on them to understand just a little bit more. And we really love all of you for coming out and supporting us. Yeah. You're welcome to come and spend time at Whispers, by all means. Dennis mentioned a little bit about the economic value that we have here in at Whispers, because we have the thrift store, we employ several people and whatnot, but it goes beyond that. We have thousands of hours of volunteer time given to Whispers, and that's given by good citizens who really care. And not only are they giving their time, but you know, it's doing something for them too. If you go in there on almost any day, you'll hear our volunteers laughing. A lot of elderly people there volunteering because the rest of us are still working, but we'll be there soon. And that is providing a social need for the volunteers to network and to chat and to have value. So we do more than just feed people on the riverbanks. We do more. Thank you.
We clothe the community.
We clothe the community.
My clothes are from Whispers.
Yeah.
I shop there all the time.
Pretty good deals, don't you? Yeah.
What gives us the right to remove nourishment from those already in peril?
Tell me.
We don't have that right.
And what would the outcome be?
Well,
We've got problems now. You can imagine what the problems could be.
I moved into the city about 3 years ago, and I remember when I was working at the O'Connor House, the Subway House used to be a crack house, and Whispers hadn't opened yet. And I'd wander around town and get materials and stuff, and the amount of people just wandering, hanging around, looking for something to steal was phenomenal. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to move into this little house. After Whispers opened, it was like magic. After a year, you didn't have to worry about your car getting smashed, the window getting smashed, and people coming around looting your backyards. I mean, if you actually look at it, and if maybe look at the police reports, you'll find out that the downtown has become way more livable. Whispers doesn't just give you food, it doesn't just give you shelter, it gives you a community. And without community, you're lost.
Right on.
And if in the city, if the Red Cross goes down every time somebody shot up somewhere or something happened somewhere, well, we'd all be living, well, you can imagine where we'd be living. It wouldn't be a society. It wouldn't be a civilized society. And so, to me, it's insane to think, to blame social illness on somebody that's helping. That is backwards thinking, and it's thinking that will just make the matter worse. You close down Whispers, the people will be back on the street, the crime rate will increase, and then guess what? They'll blame Whispers again.
The logic of closing Whispers was that it will take care of the people who are camping down. But see, what the City Hall has not apparently realized is that it is not illegal for homeless people to occupy a public space. The BC Supreme Court passed that law in October of 2015. So by taking away a service provided to people in need, no matter if you are homeless, if you are vulnerable, if you are marginalized, if you live up on that hill, taking that away takes away from every person here. And these people are not these people, these are our neighbors.
Right.
Yes. These are our neighbors. We are all neighbors. We don't have to agree, but we need to be kind. Yes. And we need to be understanding, and we need to show compassion, and we need to make it clear to these people in here that that is what we expect and what we demand for ourselves and our neighbors.
Amen.
As some of you know, I used to be on council here. I recall getting reports to council about needles being found in City Park, in the little park right behind City Hall here, also on the steps of City Hall. Now they say we found needles around Whispers, we got to close them down. So we found needles around City Hall, so we should close down City Hall. One of the things that I believe Whispers does, because a lot of people don't even consider, is how a lot of things that people don't even consider when it comes to Whispers is that Whispers takes what's basically our trash and tries to make something good out of it. You know, I don't know how many of you have ever had something laying around your house you couldn't get rid of, or how many people in this town, but there's a never-ending stream of people's stuff coming into Whispers. And it's just another thought you might think of is, where's this stuff going to go?
Exactly.
Where's this stuff going to go? You know, what's happening is this broken down old toaster or whatever is laying around your corner turns, miraculously, Sylvia gets a hold of it and turns it into something really tasty.
Yeah.
And the tasting is for whosoever will. The problem when you get into choosing who will is you defeat the very purpose. You know, doesn't the fact that people are there justify it? You know, does the fact that people use it justify it? The fact that people bring stuff, doesn't that justify it? And whether people choose to abuse it or not, sometimes it's not about what they do, but as much as it is about what you do. So if Grand Forks has a heart to do something for people, then they can choose what it is that if they want to eat poison and poison themselves with drugs, then that's their prerogative. But at the same time, they get the chance to eat a decent meal. You know, I've also seen so many people just go down there for companionship to the soup kitchen. But how many people have developed networks of friendships or social connections that have come to bringing stuff in? It doesn't just come into Whispers, but it goes to there's communication between other people. Somebody needs a washer and dryer, they find a washer. Somebody needs a toaster, they find a toaster. So I think we should just think a little bit about whether or not we want to throw all those good things away. You know, I've been involved with the Whispers for about 10-12 years off and on. At our present city council, which consists of 7 people, I've seen 2 of those councillors there. The one, that was Lady Butler. She volunteered in the back. She's got an idea what Whispers is all about. Another one is Beth Tripp and her husband. They've been in numerous times and they've got ideas what is going on. The other 5 have never seen the outside the walls. And that was just before they shut down the MAPS program with building that stores for Habitat. For the rest, I've never seen them there. So, how much experience have they got about the Whispers? You answer.
Any provincial, federal.
Then I got
Come with me, Teresa.
That's when I quit.
Did you want your written copy of the letter?
I want to thank every single one of you who showed up today and the many, many more who would have shown up when they had prior commitments. You have restored my faith in my community, and I'm going to cry.
Talk to your friends, write letters, keep it going. We need everyone's support.
And a huge applause for Lorraine Dick for organizing this event.
All right. Hey, Teresa. Good one. You are. Is that a wrap?
So here's hoping you can hear me over the sound of traffic. As you've just seen, quite a few people showed up to voice their support for Whispers of Hope as they face this eviction order from the city of Grand Forks. Now, while you listen to people talking, you should keep in mind that it's much better to actually go to the source and talk to people than to rely on what other people say they heard. For instance, city councilors. This is the level of government that is the most democratic that we have. And by that I mean, these are people who live in your community, you know them, you can actually talk to them, you can ask them questions, you can voice your opinions. Unlike people who are off in Victoria or Ottawa, these people live here with you. You can ask them, did you vote this way? They may not answer, but you can ask them that. You can ask them why they chose to vote the way they voted. They don't have to answer you, but you can ask them that. Similarly, you hear things about those people, the people that apparently a lot of people consider to be problems. But do you ever talk to them? Have you ever asked them why they are the way they are, or are they just scary people to talk to fire hydrants and trees or look sketchy and you don't want to have anything to do with them? Well, if all you're going on is what other people say about them, what you've heard about them, then you really don't know them, do you? You hear about what the government does, and do you really know? Well, you can actually listen to what goes on in City Council, provided that you have a web connection. There's only been one meeting in the whole time that I've been bringing City Council to the community where I haven't actually put it on the air that I recorded it. There's only been 2 or 3 meetings in the whole last 10 years that I missed. So you can actually find out what was said in City Council rather than rely on what other people told you what was being said. Whispers of Hope. Have you ever been there? Have you ever been to the thrift store? Have you ever seen what goes on there? Have you ever talked to the people who operate that or the people who shop there? If you haven't, why? I mean, you can go there. You can talk to them. Well, you could have gone there while they were open. We'll see what happens. A lot of misconceptions happen when you rely on perceived wisdom and what you've heard. And it's not always correct. Quite often, all you hear are the things that an echo chamber, that your friends happen to live in pass on. That may not be the truth. It may be just what they think is really going on. And that's often what's not really going on. I try to provide verbatim recordings of events like this in the community, specifically so that you can see and hear for yourself and make informed decisions and have information to be able to form your own opinions and not rely on other people's opinions. Now, as Jake Raven said when he was on City Council, there were needles found in the park and on City Council. I moved here in 2004, and the little empty lot between the old Sears building and where Grand Forks Optical is right now, I remember seeing a post in there with a little container and a sign saying, "Put your needles in here." Why? Because there were injection drug needles found on the ground. It's not a new thing, but with the opioid crisis that's hitting all of America, it's gotten worse. But it's not a new thing. Homelessness is not a new thing. Did the City Council do the right thing in their actions against Whispers of Hope and Bets? That's up to you to decide. I may have my own feelings on this, but it's up to you to decide, and you should make an informed decision on that by listening to the people involved on both sides of it, rather than going on rumors and conjectures and what you heard. I'm Les Johnson for GrandForksTV.ca, out in front of City Hall. The summer's only half over. Stay safe. Be well.